What's going on, YouTube? Let's move the chains. Before we get into our relocation series on the XFL, first of all, let me say this is a video just about the relocation because expansion is a whole different story for a whole nother day. With that being said, guys, I see your comments about the college football teams. Hold up. Sorry, I had to take those off. It was getting a little bright. But with that being said, I see your comments about college football, NFL. We're getting those videos out. I was out of town last week, so I really wasn't able to do many college football predictions. Couldn't do them in the first place because we just got the schedules really for all the teams. So let's get into it. Now, talking with the relocation, we already know that a couple XFL teams might be moved around this season. We're going to start with the teams who are the safest in the XFL. With that being said, the St. Louis Battlehawks come in as probably the safest team in terms of keeping their city. The Battlehawks were far and above everybody else in terms of ticket sales, and just they were such a good crowd. They were almost going to open the upper level of the stadium, the upper deck of the dome, but the season ended. Battlehawks, y'all are safe as I can get out. You're not going to lose your team. Next up, in no particular order though, we have the Seattle Dragons. Now, the Dragons were struggling a little bit as the season went on. They sold a lot of tickets in a big NFL stadium, and it made them look very good and very impressive in Seattle, a city that I did not really believe would do that well in the XFL. I was proved wrong, and I'm happy I was proved wrong. Next up, we have the Houston Roughnecks. Houston, you have a great relationship with the XFL. We also know that the XFL wants to renew their contract with the Houston Cougars Stadium, so that's a very good sign and very promising if you are a Roughnecks fan. Next up, and kind of last on my list, is the DC Defenders. DC did very well. I mean, the Beer Snake Nation, they're not going to get that away from DC. They had a great stadium in the soccer stadium. They sold a lot of tickets in that soccer stadium. I think that was a great move. Instead of being in an NFL-sized stadium, being the soccer stadium, you sell a lot of tickets and it looks a lot better on TV. So those are my locks for teams that are definitely going to stay, in my opinion. Now we're going to get into some teams who might be in a little bit of danger. First off, this is kind of in a league of its own, the New York Guardians. The Guardians were in MetLife Stadium. They did not belong there. They needed to be in Red Bull, not necessarily away from New York, just a different part. So you could kind of say that's relocation. It's really just changing into a different stadium, but we have to acknowledge that that is probably what is going to happen for the New York Guardians. Next up, we have some teams who are really in danger, if you will. First of all, we have the Vipers. The Tampa Bay Vipers, we already know from leaks a couple months ago that it looks like the Vipers are probably going to move to Orlando. Orlando was the home of the Orlando Apollos, probably the best Alliance of American Football team. They were very successful. It's still unknown which stadium they would decide to take, but I think that Orlando would be a great choice and a great fit. Also, if you're a Vipers fan, you shouldn't be mad that the team is moving. You could still support the Vipers. Another team that will be moving is probably going to be the Dallas Renegades. We know that the Renegades stadium contract was not renewed, so that's not good news. They totally cleaned house with everything regarding to the Dallas Renegades, and it looks like, from my suspicion, I think that they're going to move to San Antonio. It's honestly a no-brainer. The San Antonio Commanders fans killed it out there, and I think the XFL could probably do much better than the AAF did in terms of selling tickets. It would be nice to have two stadiums that are completely sold out in the XFL. Great for TV, great for audiences, and great for just the overall image of the XFL and ticket sales, of course. Last, we have the LA Wildcats. Now, I'm kind of on the fence with the LA Wildcats because the Wildcats, yes, we know that they are in danger of losing their team because of ticket sales, but we also know that The Rock and Danny Garcia have ties to Los Angeles. We even saw the president of the Los Angeles Wildcats get like a retweet and a response from Danny Garcia. So we could end up seeing LA stay. You also have to realize that LA has a very big TV market. So maybe moving to San Diego could be in the books, or possibly Oakland, because Oakland also lost an NFL team. That might not be what the XFL wants to do currently because of their ties to Los Angeles, but in the long run, it does make a lot of sense and it seems a little bit smarter in my opinion. So yeah guys, that's kind of my relocation ideas and thoughts, just really thinking out loud off the top of my head with stuff that we have known in the past from the XFL and stuff that we know now. So I'd love to know your opinions, of course. Where do you think the XFL should relocate? In our next topic video surrounding the XFL, we are talking expansion. We know that it's going to be a huge goal, even said by Danny Garcia, expansion, expansion, expansion. So I'd love to know your thoughts on these cities that you think will generate expansion teams. I'd love to know your opinions down below. Thanks for watching the EndZone. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we can move the chains.